Good morning, sweet cheeks. So I just dropped my little sister off at her hair appointment. She's going to Ochoa, which is where I go, and we are still doing a giveaway for them. So if you guys are New England or Boston based, 10 out of 10 recommend entering because they're fantastic. Maverick in the back looking stoic, question mark. I need to finish my makeup and I'm going to go to a coffee shop to do a little bit of work while she, you know, let me put my nip covers on. I feel like I'm nipping out a bit. Also, you guys have already started to leak. Like, it's just colostrum or whatever it's called, but the titties are starting to do their job. It's sketch. Okay, now where did my eyebrow pencil go? I literally was just holding it. Am I okay? Found it. A little dark here. Okay, I'm gonna do this really quick and then I will get back to the point of this video. Do those look good or bad? Doing my makeup in different lighting is... like, usually car lighting's good, but this one it's given some shadows. Maybe I should honestly find a new place to film because, like, it's getting dark up here too. All right, almost done. We going quick for brows. I also really been wanting to get my brows laminated and I booked an appointment, it was on my birthday, or no, it was the day before my birthday, and they said I couldn't because I was pregnant, but I've done it before in my first try when I was pregnant, and I think it was in California and they use like an organic formula, so maybe this place is like more toxic, so probably shouldn't be going there anyways, but kind of bummed about that because it would be so nice just to have my brows done, especially when the girls are born, just to feel a little bit more put together, but we'll see. I'll do my research, try and find another place. Anyways, for brows, Benefit pencil, really need to get a new one because it's almost out, and then their 24-hour brow setter as well. And for this, I always like to go like opposite direction of hair growth to get it all gelled, and then I brush it out, up and away. Up and away, like when you're parking and you need to remember which direction to turn your tires. If you're on a hill, up and away. Same with your brows. All right, we're not going for perfection here, we're going for adequate. And then mascara, Aaliyah. This is one of our favorite brands, especially for mascara. Jonah are both obsessed, but clean beauty, non-toxic, you know the drill. Okay, let me put that on. And then I promise I'll answer all of your questions. She's beauty and she's grace. She's looking presentable. Not that no makeup isn't presentable. Oh God, I'm having like a cramparoonie. You guys, last night I woke up at like, or I guess it was morning, I woke up at like 5 a.m. from a, would you call it a cherry horse? Why can't I say the name? When you like get an intense cramp, and I got one in my calf like super early in the morning and it was so painful and my calf is still sore. Charlie horse, I think that's what it would be called, but so painful, and I need a foam roll when I get home. I was like freaking, and it like woke me up out of my slumber and I was like, ah. Okay, so like I said, just dropped my sister off at Ochoa. She's getting her hair done. I am going to go to a coffee shop and get some work done before I have calls today, but I wanted to make sure to answer the questions that you guys submitted to our story last week and just do a quick Q&A with you guys. And don't worry, Ruski, we're gonna go for a little W after I answer these. So let's get into it. So a lot of these were pregnancy related and some are just life. So a little bit of everything today. I am 31 weeks with the girls right now, and I truly am feeling large and in charge. So we have hit the uncomfortable stage of pregnancy, and but we've hit the uncomfortable stage of pregnancy, but I'm also feeling very grateful that we're just at this point because, as you guys know, at 26 weeks, I was told I have a short cervix and like could give birth at any time, couldn't work out or anything. So I'm just happy that we're at a point where I know we were past viability then, but I just feel a lot less anxious and confident about their health and safety at this point. So gratitudes, looking on the bright side of that. But let's get into some of these cues. Also, this dress is a maternity dress from Hatch, and I call it my Meredith Blake dress because I just feel like she would love it. Okay, where shall we start? The lighting keeps going in and out here. Should I change? I feel like we're just gonna commit, okay? You're just gonna have to like live with it. How are you coping with not working out? Okay, I guess that kind of just goes with what I just explained. It's been over a month now that I haven't been able to work out, and mentally it has been pretty frustrating, especially at the beginning. And just because for me, exercise has always been, yes, like a way to keep my body in shape and everything, but mentally, like, it's a huge aspect for me. I know I've talked about my anxiety and depression before, and I feel like exercise is just this form of consistency and control that helps me maintain that. So I think it was a big adjustment for me on that level. And then also the whole change that your body is going through of gaining weight and looking just so different. It's another source of control. Of like, okay, this is what I can do to like stay on track or help myself feel good when I don't feel good sometimes when I look in the mirror, just because I look so different or I'm just not used to what I'm seeing. So it definitely has been taking a toll on that aspect. I've been trying to do a bunch of short walks. I do definitely eat not crazy healthy right now, just because I feel like I let myself eat whatever I want when I'm craving something, but I do get fairly nutritious meals for at least 3 times a day. I'll do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and making sure I'm getting my protein and veggies in, so I feel like that helps. But it has been an adjustment, and I also am really anxious about, I had such a good routine for working out, you know, like it's been years where I've been in a good routine. Obviously I've had ebbs and flows and like times when I am in a rut and things like that, but I feel like one of the hardest things about working out and getting to that point where you can do it kind of mindlessly is that consistency and getting into that routine and having your mind expect it, your body expect it, so it's just becomes part of your daily life. And now that I'm out of that, minus short walks, because that's really all I'm allowed to do, I'm getting even more anxious for postpartum. And I know this, it kind of sounds like it's coming from like a vain place, and I do admit like some of it is coming from a vanity perspective, but I'm just nervous getting back into routine. Obviously going to have 2 kids is changing my entire life already, so I don't know what my routine is going to look like then, and then trying to add in working out when I haven't been for the past month and a half now. I'm just curious how that's going to go. And I do think I have been craving exercise and craving working out, so hopefully that will stay the case, but I'm not allowed to work out for like 6 weeks after giving birth anyway, so it's going to be a very long extended period of time without exercise. I also have a side of guilt of not being able to share workouts and exercise on our platform, because it's obviously like Sweat and Tell, it's a core of our business, and I'm in my pre and postnatal course, so I had all these plans to share prenatal workouts as well. So I'm really trying to switch my mentality to focus on, you know, postnatal stuff and postpartum stuff that I can share with you guys, and just like enhancing my knowledge now while I have the time to do so. But I kind of go through ebbs and flows with it. It's been a little difficult for me. I know it's not the end of the world and I could have it a lot worse, but it's definitely something that has affected me mentally, physically, and just like confidence wise. I do feel like it has made me not as kind to myself on times when I feel like I am proud of myself for exercising. You know, whatever I look like, I'm just like, okay, but I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling confident. And when I can't do that and prove to myself that I can do that, it does kind of get to me sometimes. But I've just been keeping myself busy, and I love the pre-postnatal course that I'm in as well, even though a lot of it is like explaining how important it is to stay fit during pregnancy, how it makes birth easier, how it makes postpartum easier. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't fucking do that. So it is a little frustrating on that end, but overall, I'm doing okay. Ebbs and flows. I wouldn't say I'm in like a totally negative mindset space, but I do wish it was different, you know? But that sums it up. I understand, like, I don't have a worst case scenario, and I could be in bed rest. It could be a lot scarier situation. So I'm just trying to look at the silver lining of all of that. This question is a good one to follow up with that. How to deal with gaining fat in pregnancy, 20 weeks and struggling. I feel like I started to feel this. First try, I was so nauseous, like, didn't really see crazy body change. Second try, I was kind of just like loving the bump. Like, I had this cute little bump. I still had energy. I was working out, so I felt okay. And like, the weight gain didn't really, I feel like, affect anywhere other than my belly. Now I feel like it's been over a month, like a month and a half, 2 months, where I have really noticed a change in my body. And I do think that a lot, like, it's just interesting because so many people will be like, oh my gosh, you look the same, it's just your belly. And I know they mean that in a good way, but sometimes it does even hurt my feelings hearing that, because in my mind I'm like, but I have, like, I can see it in my face, I can see it in my legs, I can see it in my arms. So I'm like, is that what you thought I looked like pre? Which is just such a stupid way to think when people are just trying to say something complimentary. And I understand, like, it's not like I've swollen up crazy like a balloon or anything, which I really thought I would, especially with twin girls. But it does kind of get to me sometimes, especially with the not being able to work out, because I feel like that's where I can control it. But at the end of the day, I just remind myself, this is what my body's supposed to be doing. And whatever it needs to do to keep these girls healthy and safe, it's truly none of my business. Like, this is what it's doing to grow 2 humans. And I feel like at the end of the day, I would gain 1,000,000 pounds if it meant to keep them safe and healthy. So I try and just come back to that mentality. And then also the fact that it's pretty fucking powerful that we are able to grow humans in the first place. So reminding myself that what I am doing is just an incredible thing, I feel like helps a lot. But I understand, and once again, similar to like how I'm feeling with not being able to work out, it ebbs and flows. Confidence ebbs and flows. I will say that getting maternity clothes and clothes that fit you, and trying like at least once or twice a week to just put yourself together, it does help a lot. It's not like you have to wear a fucking ball gown and like dress to the nines, but I just feel like doing little things that make you feel special and remind you that you are beautiful, like inside, outside. Like, we are beautiful humans and we deserve to be cared for and treated while we are still growing our babies inside of us. So getting my hair done made me feel so good. Getting clothes that actually fit me, so I'm not just like, oh, why don't I fit in anything else? That makes me feel really good. And trying to take care of myself. So doing my skincare and eating nutritious meals, treating myself when I want to because I fucking deserve it. Just little things like that that remind us that, one, it's not all about the weight gain, but two, just like letting yourself feel appreciated by yourself is important. And then also, I feel like you don't want to talk about it constantly because you don't want it to be just like every day you're thinking of it. But I feel like bringing it up, especially to your significant other or somebody that you trust, is totally helpful. Whether you're seeing a therapist or you're just talking to your best friend or your partner, I feel like expressing how you're feeling and letting them be just kind of a soundboard for you is really, really helpful, because I think it's normal for us to feel, or at least go through these stages of insecurity when our body is changing so drastically in such a short period of time. Like, it's literally from 9 months of growing a human or humans, and you're watching your body go through all these changes. And it's funny too, like, I look back at pictures of myself when I felt like I was being negative and harsh to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how was I so rude to myself looking at my body then compared to now? So I think it's all just a season of life, and we have to remember that, and that our body is doing what it needs to for these babies. And we will, I think it's just important to take care of yourself in any way that you can now. If you can exercise, definitely do that in a safe, healthy way while pregnant. If you can't, try and focus on your nutrition, drinking water, getting sleep. This is the time just to give yourself what you need and really listen to your body. But I understand it's definitely difficult, there's days that are tougher than others when you're just trying to, you just want to feel beautiful sometimes. And I think at the end of the day, what you're doing is probably the most beautiful thing in the world, creating life. And I think that's something to remember. But I'm not trying to sound too like positive Patty over here, because I do understand that it ebbs and flows and that it is like a natural reaction to kind of have that. But I hope that helps a little bit. I feel like I'm rambling on my perspective of it, but I think just focusing on what you're doing versus what you look like, and getting clothes that fit you, and not trying to, you know, jump into something, getting clothes that fit you and make you feel good, and just embracing the changes and remembering that it is a season is really, really helpful. How long were you and your husband together before marriage? We were together 6.5 years, but we met when we were like 20. It was like a month before we turned 23. So I feel like we were together since kind of young, but 6.5 years before we got married. Is it hard living far away from your parents and not being able to be near them, especially when having kids? 100%. That is something that I really wish I could be with my close friends and family, especially during this stage of life. Luckily, we are at a place where my parents can come visit, and my sisters and friends. I feel very, very grateful and blessed that we have a lot of visitors that come through, but I do get jealous. Like, my family has family dinner every Sunday night with extended family and my sisters, and my sister who's pregnant right now, she gets to be like right next to my mom and dad and her mother-in-law and father-in-law, and like get that everyday support. But I do feel the support every day. Like, I feel like my family does an incredible job of really staying in contact, and I also do my best to stay in contact with them. I'm not as good of a long distance friend and family member as I want to be. I need to get better at it, and I feel like it just takes practice and reminders. But for my circumstance, I feel very, very lucky, but there are times that I do get very, very homesick and wish I could be with them, especially with my sister having baby too. It's like I want them to be growing up together all the time and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, it's hard. Like, I'm very happy with my life. Like, I love getting to experience new things, and I think that's one part of my personality that I actually really admire. I'm pretty adaptable to like whatever environment that I'm in, and I feel really lucky that I have my person with Dave and my little family with Maverick and soon to be the girls. But it does get tough on times when like I just want my fucking mom. Like, I just want to be around my family and my best friends. So it definitely ebbs and flows, but I think we're lucky that this day and age you can FaceTime at any time or text or anything like that. But yeah, it gets to me sometimes, but it's part of life. And one day we will be back in California. I don't know when, but one day. Have you ever had an eating disorder, and how do you handle it now? I've actually never talked about this on Sweat and Tell, and it's something that I feel like I haven't fully even dove into within my therapy sessions as much as I'd like, and that's one of the reasons that I haven't talked about it, because I feel like it is such a personal subject, and I'm not very good at talking about deep trauma until I really feel like I've kind of 100% resolved it in my mind, resolved quote unquote. Like, I've talked about my depression and anxiety, things like that, even though I know it's an ongoing thing, resolved in the sense of like I feel like I can understand where it's coming from and talk about it. But as far as an eating disorder, yes, I have. It feels so weird to talk about, because I'm just like, I've never discussed it before. Like, I feel like I don't even talk to my close friends about it really, or my family. Like, it's just something that's I kind of like sweep under the rug, if I'm being honest. And I don't think I had an extreme case compared to some, but something happened to me going into my senior year, like summer of junior year, that I just feel like really changed my life and just kind of started to spiral my entire depression and everything. And I think having an eating disorder was a side effect of that. I would go through phases of binge eating and bulimia, and it wasn't a very long extended time. It was like 6 months, and then I felt like I stopped. So I feel like I never in my mind classified it as me having an eating disorder, even though I for sure did. And then it came back a little bit after college as well, once again for a shorter period of time. And then I noticed myself doing it in times of like major distress, and also like caring so much about what I looked like. I just felt like I revolved around my appearance, which is so sick and not healthy. And I just felt like I cared so much what people thought about me and what I looked like, and that's like where it stemmed from. And a trauma situation that also kind of created that, where I felt like that was where I could find my place and that's where I could have like control. But I haven't dealt with it in a very, very long time. But I have dealt with food restrictions and anxiety. And one thing my little sister said to me when she found out we were having girls, it like makes me cry thinking about it. She was like, oh my gosh, they're going to have, like with you and Dave, they're going to have such a good relationship with food and their body image. And I literally just started crying. Like it makes me cry now just because like I've just struggled with that for like a long time. And I do feel like I'm at a place where like I appreciate my body almost in a body neutral way. I know like I just talked about like being stressed about gaining weight and stuff like that, but I do feel like I have like a pretty body neutral stance and appreciate my body for what it can do versus what it looks like first, instead of previously when like all I cared about is what I looked like. And so I hope that I can continue to do that. I think honestly, Dave being my partner, he is very like helpful in that sense, because I just feel like I can be really vulnerable with him about how I'm feeling with that. And then also he is just like so knowledgeable about the body and like fueling it for power versus fueling it for appearance and image. And I feel like that has really, really helped me. And also just like Sweat and Tell in general has helped me, because I do feel like it's encouraged me to like spread that message, and it constantly reminds me that what's important is how you feel, not how you look. But once again, I feel like I always just ramble on these answers, but to answer in short, yes, I have dealt with eating disorder in the past, and I don't think it's as extreme as some cases, but I'm not trying to belittle it whatsoever as well. And I'm sorry if I'm not very good at talking about it, because I just don't talk about it very much. And I hope that I can get to a place where I do feel more comfortable talking about it, because I do think it can help people the more I do discuss it. But I think that it stemmed from a place of trauma, insecurity, and wanting to find control. And I think I really did struggle with finding too much value in my appearance physically and how I looked. And that's where I was trying to micromanage and keep it that way. So it's something that I have grown a lot from and feel like I'm kind of past at this point. But similar to anything mental health with depression, anxiety, I don't think it's something that like you can ever be like, I'm done. Like I think it's something that you have to regularly check in with yourself, because it's in there and it's a part of you, and it's something that yes, you've grown from and moved on from, but that doesn't mean that if you don't stay healthy and stay on track mentally and like honest, if you don't stay honest with yourself, these negative things can creep back into your life. So I appreciate the question, because it does help remind me that it's something that I should be more transparent about and honest, because it's something that I don't want to lie to myself about, because I did do that for a while as well. So long-winded answer, but yes. Will you guys plan on more kids after the twins? You guys are already having two. Like, just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, we actually do want more kids. We want at least 3, but give us a little time. You know, we're having 2. It's going to be a little overwhelming. I think we want a close enough age gap that they can still grow up together and be young, but I feel like if it was just one, I'd be like, oh, after a year I'm ready to go, which also is just kind of a silly thing to say with no experience having my own children. So I don't know when the third one will come, but I think give us at least a year, maybe 2, to like figure out life, you know, with 2 children. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a third eventually on the way. Were you scared at all when you found out you were pregnant? Yeah, I was. First reaction was so excited and grateful. Second reaction was guilt, because I had people close to me really, really struggling getting pregnant. And I just immediately felt bad. I was just like, we got really, really blessed and lucky that we got pregnant our first try. I know that's not a regular thing, and I just immediately felt guilty for it. Like, I just felt so bad that these people I know and care about so much, like, were struggling to get pregnant, and like, I just like, and then when it was twins too, like, I felt even worse, because I was like, these people can't even have one baby, and like, we get 2, and then, sorry, like, I still get emotional about it. But no, but woo, babes, I would love to blame this on the hormones, but like, I'm just a crier. Yeah, so first was excitement, second was guilt, and then third was like, holy fuck. I feel like with 1, I already was like, okay, wow, life is changing. But then with 2, I was like, how do you even do that? Like, how do you even like go to the store? How do you carry them? How does one person take care of 2 babies at the same time? So definitely scared. I feel like it's like equally terrified and grateful, but no, the gratitude does like definitely trump it. And like, I'm very excited, but I'm also very grateful that I have a husband that I know is going to be very helpful and supportive. My family, like I said, is going to be coming out and helping me as well, and I just do feel like I have a support system, even though like most of them are far, that I have people that I can lean on mentally, emotionally, things like that. I also feel blessed that we're in a financial standpoint where like we can support our children with like the products and things that we need, and help if we do want, because I do realize that is a very privileged position to be in, and I am not taking that for granted. But I'm scared. Yeah, I am scared. I'm so fucking excited and so happy, but like, it is pretty scary, and I just know that like, we're not going to be perfect. I don't think any parent could be perfect, but it's just a huge life change. And also, I think it was initially really scary too, because when we found out we were moving to Boston and then the twins 2 days later, it was like the same week of like so much change. Now that we're more settled here, I feel like it was almost a blessing, because we moved into our new house planning it for the twins. So it was like, okay, it's almost like we got a blank slate of like, let's start this out for them and plan around them. So I feel like that was like another silver lining that helped. But yeah, I'm definitely scared. I think like, if any new parent isn't scared, like, they're not in any sense of reality, because it's a huge thing. Like, it's a major life change. And I know it's like, we're just beginning of some of the happiest moments in our lives, but that doesn't mean that it's not a little anxiety inducing. But overall, grateful, so excited, but yeah, definitely a little terrified as well. Top 3 household pet peeves. The first one that comes to mind is if somebody leaves a soggy sponge in the sink. And honestly, this is my roommate Tara. I feel like I used to do this when I was younger. Then my roommate Tara, when I lived with her like however long ago, she was like, this is like so unsanitary, you can't do this. And since then, like, if somebody leaves a soggy sponge in the sink, it like freaks me the fuck out, and I need to wring it and like have it dry, because it's just so unsanitary. But I can't think of any others right now. But that's like just like a weird one right there. How do you manage depression? I just got diagnosed and struggling to get out. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. It's really tough. But I will say you will get out of it. It might feel like you won't, might feel like your world is ending and that there's no hope, but there is. There 100% is. And I think it's a long journey. That's something that like you have to understand, that it is a lifelong journey to stay in check with it, but it can be a long journey just to get out of the initial stage. So don't give up. I definitely recommend therapy. Once again, sometimes it takes a few tries to even find the right therapist, but I think that is so helpful. Not keeping it to yourself, not being a burden to your friends, constantly talking about it, but finding a few safe people that you feel like you can open up to and at least let them know that you are feeling this way is really important. Keeping it inside, I always compare it to like you have a foreign object inside of you. You got to get it out. So you got to talk about it. You got to let it out in a safe, like in a safe and healthy way. So whether that's through close people that you truly trust, whether it's with a professional, whether you think you need to eventually get on medication, even if it's for a short period of time, there is ways to get out of it and survive, and I am just like walking proof of that. So you know, it is, I'm not going to downplay it. Like if you truly do feel depressed, like sometimes it can be a long journey, sometimes it can be short. Everybody is different, but don't delay getting help. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, that I wish I got help sooner, because I wasted a lot of time that I think I could have been happy. Because I am very happy now, and I used to be in a place where like I didn't even want my character to go on. So I think that taking action, as hard as it may sound, because I know sometimes you just feel like you can't do anything, you don't want to get out of bed if you're depressed, taking action and telling somebody that you trust, once again, so that they can help you if you stop and delay taking that action, is really important. I also will say that scheduling things to force yourself to be a functioning human in society is helpful. Like for me, that's how I started triathlon training, is because I literally couldn't get myself out of bed some days, and I was like, this is making something bigger than me. I was doing it to raise money for a good cause. I had to attend these trainings. It really helped me focus on a bigger picture, people with bigger problems than mine, even though that is not something that you need to focus on. Just because one person's fire is bigger than yours doesn't mean yours isn't burning just as fucking hot. But it did help me realize that like I can focus on things on the daily to help motivate myself to do things that are benefiting others and also benefiting my day-to-day. So exercise is really beneficial. Talking about it, finding a professional, realizing that it is day-to-day steps. Also, for anybody who is interested in therapy, this is how I would describe therapy to people who aren't sure about it. And I feel like this analogy has like really helped me and a lot of people who have been interested in therapy and curious about it. So when I think of therapy, think of your thoughts tangled yarn, in a tangled ball of yarn, all tangled up, and you're just like, you can't figure it out because they're knotted, they're tangled all over the place. Therapy to me is somebody that helps you take that yarn, pins it up on a board, each individual strand, and so that you can just see those thoughts. They're not changing, they're not going anywhere, but you can see those thoughts start to finish in a nice clear line so that your brain can process what you are trying to figure out and understand it and move on from it. That's truly the analogy that I think is best, at least for my personal experience, of how therapy helped me untangle my web of thoughts and realize that there is ways to organize them so that you can be functional and focus on the good rather than dwelling and becoming overwhelmed by the negative and the lack of hope of clarity from that. So I hope that does help if anybody is curious about what therapy is like. And once again, like I said, sometimes you need to find, sometimes you need to try a few different ones to find the one that works well for you. Do you ever get tripped out that you're literally growing humans every day? Literally, it's insane. Like, it's insane to me, especially feeling them moving and like stretching to different directions. I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, am I a superhero? Because I'm literally growing humans. Like, this is crazy. I know it happens every day, but like, praise me. But like, it's insane. Are you religious? Interesting question, because this is something that I've been talking about with my friends and family recently. So I was raised very Catholic. I went to Catholic school my entire life. I was an altar server, Kairos leader, church every Sunday. Even in college, I wasn't super regimented about church every Sunday, but I would go to Christian masses here and there. And as I got older, I have definitely found myself asking more questions, stepping away, realizing that I did have a lot of Catholic guilt, and some of the reasons that I did some things and lied about some things was because I didn't feel like a good Catholic Christian. And so I do have some resentment, honestly, towards the church for that reason. Not to get too deep into it, but I think organized religion, I have some burdens and some resentment towards. But that doesn't mean I don't believe in a higher power. But I will say I feel like I have a lot of clarity in my life right now, minus the whole like becoming a parent is obviously like, that's a crazy thing that I don't know what's coming yet, but I have a lot of clarity in the fact of like, I'm excited for it, I'm with the right person, and we'll figure it out. But I truly feel like I am in a place in my life that I feel very confident in pretty much all aspects of my life, and it took a really long time to get here. But religion and my faith is honestly the one thing that I am very confused about. And it doesn't bother me on the day-to-day, but when I do think about it, I wish I had more clarity. Especially because I feel like I used to be so clear on it. But I also feel like that's before I really had my own like brain almost, you know, like it's just like what I learned, what I raised. And I think after some ups and downs that I've been through, not putting blame directly on the church, but like I said, I do feel like Catholic guilt played a role in a lot of different emotional like things that I went through, and sticking with things and lying to myself, lying to people about like what I thought, what I wanted, based on that. But I still do believe in a higher power. I say prayers every night to myself, but I start them with dear God, universe, whatever you are. Like that's literally what I say in my brain every night before I say my prayers, and I kind of think of them as like gratitudes almost a little bit more. In my heart, I do think that there is a good versus evil and a greater power, but if I'm being like fully honest, like it's something that I am kind of confused about, and I wish I had more clarity on, and I'm working towards finding my own answer for that. And I hope that this answer doesn't offend anybody. It's just truly like where I'm coming from. And I think faith and religion is also a very different thing. Organized religion versus having faith. But yeah, I believe in a higher power, believe in there's a greater good, but that's kind of all the answers I could give on that right now. And I hope I can come to a place where I have more clarity, but I just don't right now. So that's my honest answer for that. Did you have morning sickness? I'm worried about that when I'm pregnant. You guys, I was so sick my entire first try. Like literally nauseous all day long. It was awful. I didn't throw up that much though. I just felt nauseous. And all I wanted was like candy and bread. Like that's literally it. So I don't know what to tell you on that. It did go away second try. So I feel very lucky that it went away at that time, but it was rough, not gonna lie. Baby names. So we have two that we have loved for a long time, but then we have a third that's like kind of creeping in for like we can't decide if we want to switch to that third one, but we have them picked out. I think we might wait till they're born to see them, even though I know they look like little aliens when they're born, but I think we might wait till they're born to finally make the decision and decide. But I love the ones that we have in our top right now. Does your husband get paternity leave? No, he doesn't get any, you guys. Like literally if I'm giving birth, he will be able to come to the birth, and then he has to go right back to training and games, which I understand to an extent, but it also is a little wild to think about, especially because he travels for work and stuff. So like I said, I'm very lucky that I'm gonna have family come out, and if we can't coordinate that, I do think we will hire help part-time to help with that. But I wish it could be different, but I also understand, like, with his career, he can't really exit because somebody else could take his place, just in that, like, aspect itself. It's a unique situation, but it's like I almost wish that we could have given birth right at off season so that we could be together the entire time, but that'll come soon enough. And I know he will be a very involved dad, especially with his schedule. I know, like I said, he does travel a lot and he won't get paternity leave, but it's not like a full on the day-to-day. He works 9 to 5. He does get back in the early afternoon, so at least then he will be able to be very hands-on and helpful with that. So we kind of have a game plan for our schedule of how we're going to balance things, but it's definitely going to be a learning experience, and I think we just have to really practice our communication, because I don't want to resent him at all for like having to travel or anything like that, because I know he's doing it for his career and to support our family ultimately. So yeah, that's an interesting one. How have you handled unsolicited pregnancy mom advice? This is an interesting question, because especially with putting your life online so much, we have definitely received unsolicited advice, just advice that we never asked for. And I think it's sometimes hard, like, it's interesting how, like, some days I'll have such a thick skin and other days I'll let things get to me, and I think just immediately talking it out helps, and then that way I can let it wash away. And also reminding myself that every mom, every baby, every child, every dad, every family is fucking different. Like, what is right for somebody else is not right for you, and like, you can't expect somebody else to be doing what you think is right, and vice versa. I think when there's a safety issue, that's a different concern, but I do think it's made me a little bit more self-aware too of providing advice to people who haven't asked it as well, and just providing support is overall more encouraging and supportive. Unless somebody directly asks for something, I don't think you really need to give full-on advice, especially if it does come off condescending. That is interesting, and I feel like we're just at the very beginning of that journey, but I feel like overall everybody has been so kind and helpful and sweet, but there has been a few that's gotten under my skin a little bit. We have family or others to help babies while your hubby travels for work. Kind of went over this one, but either family that's going to come out, or we will do help part-time. So TBD, we're still kind of figuring out our timeline for that, but lots of things to figure out. Will you look into gentle cesarean? Okay, so C-section was our original plan, but now that we are on baby watch for preterm and they are both head down, I might try. I ideally would want to try for natural. I will be doing an epidural if I do natural, but I would like to try through the vag. Like, I just kind of feel like if I can, that's the way I would want to do it. My big fear though is that if I do one natural and then the other one flips, because apparently that's a thing in twins, and they can't like flip it the other way, so then I would have to do one natural, one C-section. That, because then you're recovering from the trauma of birth and a major surgery, like that sounds really, really difficult. So I want obviously whatever's easiest and safest for the babies, but also recovery wise, whatever's the most gentle on my body, so that I can like get back into action being a mom, taking care, like I'm gonna have to be like taking care of 2 babies. Like I want the recovery to be as easy as possible for that as well. But I feel like that's what we'll end it. There's a few more questions. I can do another one of these Q&As another day. We got kind of deep here with some of these questions, and I appreciate you guys asking them. I love chatting with you. I feel like it's kind of therapeutic for me, especially when we get these deep questions that like I try not to read them before too, so that I can give just my honest reaction answer. That's also probably why I don't sound as refined answering some of these questions. But I appreciate you guys giving me a safe space to talk about these things. Your support throughout all of our life changes have been amazing. Like Joe and I both talk about how much we love you guys all the time, but especially personally, like with me moving from Nashville, from California to Nashville, Nashville to Boston, getting married, getting pregnant, having this, like it's just some major life changes, and I just am very grateful to have you guys along here with me and the support and love that you've given me. So We love you guys. Thank you for listening, and let me know if you like this video. If you have any other questions, comment them, like, subscribe, you know the drill. Love you guys.